The Taoist symbol of yin and yang expresses the idea that all things contain the seed of their opposite, opposing principles that balance one another, creating the rhythm of life, being born and dying, breathing in and out, filling and emptying. We can see the power of this in the sublime prologue of St. John's Gospel, which is itself a breathtakingly elegant and concise expression of complex thought from diverse traditions. Indeed, when the Gospel reached Chinese Taoists in the 7th century, they especially loved John's Gospel and called Christianity the light religion. John's Gospel portrays Jesus as the cosmic Christ, a priestly figure, the one who holds all things together in himself and illumines the world. The prologue sets this forth for us by showing different aspects of Christ's significance. Let's think about them along with the seed of their opposites held within them. John was writing at Ephesus primarily for Gentile Christians, Greek thinkers, around 100 years after the coming of Jesus, from a church experiencing Jewish persecution. The prologue to his gospel sets out to show how Jesus is the embodiment of both Greek and Jewish principles, and also the Persian Zoroastrian thought that shaped and influenced the thinking of both Greek philosophy and Jewish thought. In the prologue, we see three aspects of Christ: the Word, the Monad, and the Light. In the beginning was the Word, John starts off, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He says, through him all things were made. This is the Greek philosophical concept of the Logos, the divine logic or rationality from which creation proceeds. Later, Plato develops the idea of a rational order to the universe into a philosophy of a oneness, holding together the myriad forms of life. Jewish thought also sees creation as springing from the Word, of course. The book of Genesis opens by saying, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and how the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, 'Let there be light.' And there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness." So this is the beginning of yin and yang, the unity and yet separation of light and darkness, and also the concept of speech, utterance, word, as the foundational principle of creation. This is why it matters what we say to ourselves as well as to one another. Here then we see two balancing principles: the light that emerges from darkness in response to the Word of God speaking out of primeval silence to bring order into chaos. John shows Jesus as the Word of God speaking healing into disease, bringing peace where there is turmoil and confusion, and coming as light into a dark world. The Feast of the Incarnation is not the birthday of Jesus. That would have been in September. We know this from Luke's Gospel that tells us about the shepherds. It is a declaration of faith that Jesus is the light of the world. Like the eyes of the yin and yang symbol, the Feast of the Incarnation in the ecclesiastical year is set at the darkest time. The infant Christ comes as the light seed, light being born, emerging from the darkness of the womb of midwinter. At the balancing opposite solstice in high summer, we have the feast of St. John the Baptist, the herald, who points down the year to its balancing moment at Yule, the winter solstice. And Yule is an Old Norse word that means the turn. So Jesus comes to bring light out of darkness, and this resonates with the Zoroastrian perspective of life as a struggle in which we all bear responsibility in every smallest action and choice between light and darkness, Ahura Mazda and Angra Mainyu. Thus the appearance of Jesus as the light is a sign of the victory of light over darkness, order over chaos, healing over disease, in the Persian worldview that influenced both Jewish and Greek thought in the ancient world. His coming is the sign of all things being made well, and creation restored to original perfection, healed. The 5 pillars of Judaism are that God is and rules, God is one, the world was created by God, creation is one, and God's providence rules creation. And John's prologue proposes that all of this is fulfilled in Jesus, who is the Christ, or Messiah. Overlooked but present in the prologue is the Pythagorean concept of the monad, from the Greek words meaning both unity and alone. The monad in Pythagorean thought is the first being to come into existence, from which all that then develops proceeds, which is exactly how John describes Christ in his prologue. The monad is both unique and unifying, primary but present in all things, the firstborn of all creation. You can trace this thought in the epistles of the New Testament as well. Here, in the opening verses of John's Gospel, it's expressed as both he was with God in the beginning, through him all things were made, and the one and only Son. So both the unity and the uniqueness that belong to the nature of the monad. So John says, no one has ever seen God, but the one and only Son, who is himself God and is in closest relationship with the Father, has made him known. This is the monad. Its symbol is a dot at the centre of a circle, the unique being through whom the unity of all things holds together. And you can see at once how the yin-yang symbol of all things containing the seeds of their opposites resonates with this symbol of uniqueness and diversity held together by a creation principle of unity. That holding together is expressed in Greek thought by the Logos, the divine reason. In the creation story of the book of Genesis, the earth is described as tohu and bohu before God speaks the word announcing the coming of the light. Tohu means that which is laid waste, desert, emptiness, vanity, nothing. Bohu occurs nowhere else in the Bible, but from other uses of it we can understand that this pleasing composite expression together means something like emptiness and confusion, or meaningless muddle. And the work of the monad is to draw out of this tohu bohu a pattern, a song, a purpose, to give life meaning. This begins with the Logos, the Word of God uttered into primeval silence to bring forth light. The times in which we live show tohu and bohu in abundance. This Christmas night, as we gather again to affirm our belief in the incarnation of hope and healing, the coming of light into darkness, we say that this is all about to change, because in Jesus, God is with us.